The streetlights on Willow Creek Lane flickered the way they always did on cold evenings oft, trembling, as if they sensed something was about to go wrong. Inside the pale blue townhouse on the corner, Ania Kaminski sat alone at the dining table. Her fingers curled around a lukewarm mug she had forgotten to drink from. The house looked calm, orderly, perfect just the way she liked it. But the quiet was too sharp tonight, cutting through her chest like glass. Ania had spent her entire adulthood perfecting the art of appearing fine, smiling at neighbors, showing up early to work, offering to help at community events. She lived like a portrait framed, polished, and frozen, but if someone had looked too closely they might have seen the cracks in the paint. The trembling in her voice, the nights she stayed awake long after the world slept. Tonight, those cracks were splitting open. She checked the time again. 11:18 p.m. Daniel still wasn't home. Her husband was predictable to the point of boredom. Same routines, same tone, same blank warmth that felt more like habit than affection. But for the past few weeks, his predictability had broken late arrivals, vague explanations, a new hesitation in his eyes, whenever she looked at him too long. She knew something was off, but she also knew something deeper. Something she had buried for years was clawing its way up inside her, and she was running out of time to keep it hidden. The hum of the refrigerator filled the room. Ania reached for the letter on the table, the one she had rewritten 3 times. The ink smudged from where her hand had shaken. Daniel, I need to tell you the truth. She stared at the sentence, jaw tightening. No, she wasn't ready for him to know. Not yet. She folded the paper and slipped it under her notebook just as headlights swept across the window. The front door opened softly. Daniel walked in with the same gentle expression he always wore, shrugging off his coat, setting down his keys in their usual spot. His calmness had once comforted her. Now it unnerved her. You're still awake? He asked. I couldn't sleep. She kept her tone even, steady. He studied her for a moment, long enough for her pulse to rise, then nodded, and stepped into the kitchen. She watched him from the doorway. The way he moved carefully, deliberately. The way he avoided looking at her too long. Something had changed in him, and she couldn't tell if he was pulling away from her or watching her. Daniel, she whispered, we need to talk. He paused, his hand hovering over the drawer. Now, it's late. Exactly, she said. It's late for everything. Daniel turned slowly. What's that supposed to mean? Her throat tightened. The truth pressed against her ribs, begging to be released. She could tell him everything about the past she had tried to outrun. The lie her entire marriage was built on, the danger that had followed her across an ocean. But his eyes, something in his eyes stopped her. Not cold, not angry, just unreadable. She couldn't trust unreadable. Nothing, she whispered. Forget it. Daniel exhaled sharply, frustrated but controlled. Ania, you've been acting strange for weeks. If something's wrong, tell me. You wouldn't understand, she said. Try me. But she only shook her head. If he really knew what she had done, what she had hidden, what she had brought with her into their life, he wouldn't be asking gently. He would be backing away. And that was a truth she wasn't ready to face. Daniel left the room without pushing further. Their bedroom door closed quietly upstairs. The silence returned heavier now, pressing in on her chest. She stood at the window, arms wrapped around herself. Outside, the cold wind rattled the branches. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed faintly. A warning, a reminder, a memory. Her phone buzzed on the table, a number she didn't recognize. But she knew exactly who it was. Hands trembling, she answered. Ania. The voice was deep, accented, familiar in the worst possible way. Her breath hitched. Why are you calling? You know why? The man paused. You should have told him. This life you built. It's not yours to keep. Her knees weakened, and she gripped the edge of the table. I told you never to contact me again. And yet, he said, almost amused, you always answer. Her mouth went dry. He was right. She always answered. Fear had a way of picking up the phone for you. What do you want? She whispered. Your time is up, Ania. His tone softened too much. I'm already here. A sharp chill ran through her. Here, where you know. She swallowed hard. If you hurt Daniel. The man chuckled. I'm not interested in your husband. I'm interested in you. Only you. Her heart pounded in her ears. I built a new life. No, he said. You borrowed one. The line went dead. Ania's legs finally gave out, and she sank into the nearest chair. She covered her mouth to muffle the sound of her shaking breath. Everything she feared, everything she had run from was no longer behind her. It was here. And she had no idea what to do next. Her mind raced. She couldn't involve the police. Not without exposing herself. She couldn't wake Daniel. He'd demand answers she couldn't give. She couldn't stay here. Not when the past was literally knocking on her life again. So she grabbed her coat, her keys, and the letter she had hidden. If she couldn't tell Daniel the truth, face to face, maybe she could at least leave him the pieces. As she stepped outside, the air hit her like ice. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet. She scanned the dark street, heart hammering, searching for any sign of a car, a shadow, a figure watching her. Nothing. But that only made it worse. She got into her silver Toyota, hand shaking so violently she dropped the keys twice before managing to start the engine. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew where she couldn't stay. The roads blurred under her headlights as she drove out of town, the letter beside her on the passenger seat. Her phone buzzed again, but she couldn't look. She just kept driving. 30 minutes later, she pulled into an empty parking lot near the old quarry. The place was abandoned, forgotten, silent. It felt like the perfect spot to disappear. She shut off the engine, let her head fall against the steering wheel. Let herself feel the weight of the truth she could no longer carry. In the stillness, she whispered, "I'm sorry." To Daniel. To herself. To the life she had stolen. She didn't know what would happen next. She only knew she couldn't run anymore. She stepped out of the car, leaving the door slightly open behind her. The cold wind swallowed her figure as she walked toward the dark tree-lined award, whatever waited for her there. The phone on the passenger seat lit up one last time. Unknown number. "I see your car." And then the screen went black. By sunrise, a jogger spotted the silver Toyota. Driver's door open. Keys on the seat. A jacket on the ground. And no Ania Kaminski. The morning Ania's car was found. The world around Willow Creek Lane felt colder than usual, like the air itself knew something irreversible had happened. Yellow police tape fluttered weakly in the wind near the abandoned quarry. And officers moved slowly, scanning the area with grim faces, but no matter how many times they circled the site, one truth clung to the scene like frost. Ania Kaminski had vanished into thin air. Detective Mara Lewinsky arrived just after sunrise, parking beside the patrol units. She stepped out, her boots crunching over frozen gravel. She had handled disappearances before, but something about this one felt different, quiet, personal, almost staged. She approached the silver Toyota. The driver's door hung open, the interior light still softly glowing. A jacket lay on the cold ground beside the car. On the passenger seat, the phone rested upside down, its screen dark. "Any signs of struggle?" Mara asked. Officer Grant shook his head. "Nothing obvious. No blood. No footprints, except hers, leading into the tree line. No return steps." So she walked in. "But didn't walk out," Mara murmured. Grant nodded. "Looks that way." Mara studied the interior. Something felt wrong. Too clean, too intentional. She left the keys inside. She said, "Nobody running for their life leaves the keys behind." Grant hesitated. "What are you thinking?" "That she wasn't running," Mara replied. "She was meeting someone." A breeze carried the faint smell of damp earth and pine needles. The forest loomed ahead, tall and silent. Mara narrowed her eyes. If someone had taken Ania, they were good. Too good. She turned to Grant. "Was her husband notified?" "He's on the way." Mara expected a panic-stricken man bursting through police lines, shouting his wife's name. What she got instead was something far more unsettling. Daniel Kaminski arrived calm. Almost too calm. He stepped out of his car with measured movements, his face pale but composed. Mara watched him closely as he approached. "I got your message," Daniel said softly. "Is she?" "We don't know yet," Mara replied. "We're doing everything we can." He nodded once, tightly, no tears, no shaking. Just an eerie steadiness that made Mara's instincts buzz. "When did you last see your wife?" she asked. "Last night," Daniel said, "around 11:30. She seemed upset, but she wouldn't talk to me." "What do you mean?" "She said she needed to tell me something, but changed her mind." Mara studied him. "Did you two argue?" "No," he said, almost too quickly. "Nothing like that." She held his gaze. "Daniel, if there's something you're not telling me, now is the time." But his expression didn't crack. His voice didn't falter. "Detective, I love my wife. I need you to find her." Mara gave a slow nod, but inside, she felt a tug of suspicion coil tightly. People in love didn't always look like Daniel when disaster struck. But people hiding something always did. She turned and walked toward the car again, letting the cold wind clear her thoughts. On the passenger seat, the phone vibrated suddenly. Mara stiffened. "Daniel," she called out, "is this your wife's phone?" He stared at it as if unsure. "Yes, that's hers." Mara picked it up carefully, gloved fingers brushing the cracked edge of the case. The screen lit up with a single notification. One unread voicemail, no caller ID, no timestamp. Just a single line. Unknown number. Mara's pulse tightened. "Did your wife mention anyone contacting her recently?" Daniel shook his head slowly. "No, she didn't say anything like that." But the hesitation in his voice wasn't subtle. Not to a detective. Mara pressed play. The message was short, faint, but unmistakably chilling. A man's voice whispered, "I told you I was already here." The officers around them froze. Daniel went rigid. Mara replayed it, eyes narrowing. "Do you recognize this voice?" Daniel swallowed. "No, lie." His body said it. His tone said it. His eyes absolutely said it. But Mara didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, she pocketed the phone and turned toward the path leading into the forest. "We're expanding the search. I want dogs, drones, everything." If someone took Ania, they didn't get far. Daniel watched her, his hands tightening at his sides. For the first time, fear flickered across his face, but it wasn't fear for Ania. It was fear of something else entirely. The search stretched into afternoon. Volunteers joined officers, and the quiet woods filled with the sound of rustling branches and distant calling. But every hour that passed made the air heavier. By early evening, nothing had been found. No footprints, no clothing. No signs of a struggle. It was as if Ania had been swallowed by the trees. Mara stood near the clearing, arms crossed, mind running through every possibility. A woman doesn't simply vanish. Someone was involved. Someone who knew her well. Someone who knew how to make a disappearance look effortless. Her eyes drifted toward Daniel, who sat on the hood of his car, staring at the ground. His stillness bothered her even more than his composure. She approached him slowly. "Daniel, I need you to come with me to the station." He looked up. "Am I under arrest?" "No," Mara said, "but we need a formal statement." Daniel hesitated. "Can it wait?" "I'd rather stay here, Daniel," she said gently. "Your wife's life may depend on what you tell us next." His jaw clenched. Then he nodded. In the interrogation room, Mara sat across from him, her expression neutral but sharp. A recorder clicked on, filling the silence with its soft hum. "Start from the beginning," she said. "Tell me about last night." He inhaled slowly. "Ania was distant. She's been off lately. I tried asking her what was wrong, but she wouldn't talk to me. She barely looked at me." "Did she leave the house while you were home?" "No," he said. "At least, not that I saw." Mara tilted her head. "What does that mean?" Daniel rubbed his forehead. "I fell asleep on the couch. When I woke up, she was gone." Mara watched him closely. "And you didn't call her?" "I did." He hesitated. "She didn't answer." Another lie. He wasn't good at it. Mara leaned forward. "Daniel, has anyone from her past ever tried to contact her?" He froze. There it was, the crack she'd been waiting for. "What do you know?" Mara asked softly. Daniel looked away, hands trembling slightly. "Ania had secrets. I don't know all of them, but there were things she never wanted to talk about. Things she said she left behind when she came to the US." Mara's pulse quickened. "What things?" "She said someone used to follow her. Someone who wouldn't let her go. Who?" "I don't know his name," Daniel said. "But he sent her messages years ago." Then he stopped. A beat. Until recently. Mara sat back slowly. "So Ania was hiding from someone." Daniel exhaled shakily. "Yes. And you didn't report it." "She begged me not to." Mara closed her eyes briefly. Suddenly, Ania's disappearance wasn't just a missing person case. It was a hunt. That night, Mara reviewed the voicemail again, isolating the background noises. A faint echo, a metallic clink, a low hum like machinery, then barely audible, a breathy whisper. "You borrowed this life." Mara's eyes snapped open. Whoever this man was, he didn't just want Ania found, he wanted her punished. Or reclaimed. The next morning, a call came through from tech support. "Detective," the analyst said, tense, "we traced the voicemails. Source." Mara straightened. "Where?" The analyst hesitated. "It came from inside Willow Creek Lane." From a burner phone. Mara froze. Inside the neighborhood, she asked. No, the analyst whispered. Inside the Kaminski house. Mara felt the world tilt. The call Ania received before she vanished. The last voicemail Daniel insisted he didn't recognize. It wasn't made from some distant stranger. It came from someone who had been inside their home. Someone who knew Ania well enough to terrify her. Someone who knew Daniel well enough to walk through his door. And for the first time, Mara realized something chilling. This wasn't a kidnapping. This was personal. Deeply, violently personal. And whatever truth Ania had been hiding, Daniel wasn't just part of it. He might be the reason she disappeared.